Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the Sierra Club Iowa Chapter weekly Friday Lunch and Learn. Every Friday at noon, we go live to give you an update on an environmental topic. And this is one we've been following for not just years, but over a decade. And this is the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico and Iowa's contribution to that and our lack of contribution to that. So I'm going to have our chapter director, Pam Mackey-Taylor, go over the latest in the dead zone and if we are or are not meeting our goals. So I will share my screen and hand it off to you. Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Jess. So the 2026 dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico is the size of New Jersey. Now let's talk about what a dead zone is. This is an area that is so low in dissolved oxygen that it is unable to support marine life. It's caused by excess nutrients that enter into the Mississippi and the Atchafalaya River basin. This year, it's about 7,000 square miles. It's slightly smaller than the state of New Jersey. The 39-year average is 5,223 square miles. So this is larger than the average. The largest dead zone was 8,776 square miles, and that was in 2017. Now, to give you a feel for how much territory in the United States is covered by the Mississippi River watershed, this map here shows it. And the colored portions of the map show the reach of the watershed. If you look down toward the bottom of the screen and where those white blobs are, that's where the dead zone is. It's just south of Louisiana. Now, as I mentioned, the cause of the dead zone was nutrients. Nitrogen and phosphorus are the main culprits. They spur the growth of algae. That leads to decomposition processes that use oxygen, and then there isn't enough oxygen available for the marine animals. And that's what causes their death and why we name it the dead zone. The water in Iowa's streams and rivers flows into the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. The water from Iowa is laced with nutrients, largely coming off of farm fields as runoff. And the water from Iowa is a direct contributor to the dead zone. Now, over the years, there have been a number of efforts to reduce the size of the dead zone. In 2008, a group of states got together and formed the Gulf Hypoxia Action Plan. And the goal is a national effort to reduce the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico and to cut nitrate and phosphorus pollution reaching the Gulf by 45%. And originally in 2008, they thought they could do it by 2015 with a dead zone of 1,900 square miles. Well, obviously, that goal wasn't met. Then in 2014, the goal was changed, and they were going to have the new goal be to reduce the 5-year running average of the aerial extent of the Gulf of Mexico hypoxic zone to less than 5,000 square kilometers, which is 1,930.5 square miles by the year 2035. Now, bear in mind, I earlier told you that this year's Gulf dead zone is 7,000 square miles. So we've got a long way to go. Each state in the Mississippi River watershed is responsible for reducing their share of nutrients being sent to the Gulf of Mexico. And that is what led to Iowa's nutrient reduction strategy. Our strategy was published in 2013, and it also has a goal of a 45% reduction in nutrients entering Iowa's waterways. Now, Iowa has a contribution, and we need to do something about our nutrients entering the water. So Iowa's nutrient reduction efforts are voluntary for farmers, and those are called non-point sources. Our point sources have permits and limits on the amount of nitrate and phosphorus that can be discharged. Now, point sources are industrial Pipes, sewage treatment plants have a pipe that takes treated water and puts into the rivers and lakes, or rivers and streams. And so we have permits and limits on those, but we have not set numerical standards for nutrients for lakes, rivers, and streams. And that also means we haven't set a reasonable date for each water body to meet the standards. And because our nutrient reduction strategy is voluntary, there are no enforcement mechanisms to ensure compliance. Now, let's look at the other states around Iowa. Iowa is falling behind in setting nutrient criteria. If you look at Minnesota and Wisconsin, they have 2 or more water types that have nitrogen and phosphorus criteria. Now, a water type is a lake or reservoir, a river or stream, and estuaries. Now, also looking at the map, you can see that Illinois, Missouri, and Nebraska have some waters with N or P criteria, nutrients that include nitrogen and phosphorus. Iowa does not have any criteria set. So you may wonder, who is responsible for this? And on the next slide, we'll lay that out. And the Department of Natural Resources is responsible for implementing criteria for nitrogen and phosphorus. The Department of Natural Resources reports to the governor. And that is why this election is so important, because the governor's office will be responsible for ensuring that we have nitrogen and phosphorus criteria and that we can start implementing reductions in nutrients in our waterways. And with that, thank you for listening to our presentation today, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, Pam, and thank you everyone for watching our Lunch and Learn, and we will see you next week at noon. Have a great day. Bye.